Welcome back, folks. This is Chris Tock with Tock Custom. We're going to jump into the third part of our video series for doing a custom messenger bag. So this part of the video is going to be doing the whole outside of the bag. So let's just jump right into it. Alright, the next part of this is going to be the whole outside of the bag. So what you're going to need is your front accent that we did in the previous videos, your flap lining, your back and flap panel, and your gusset and strap combo that we made in the last video. So I will show you how to get set up for finishing the outside of the bag right now. The first part of finishing the outside of our bag is taking our gusset strap combo that we just made in the last video and attaching it to our front accent panel. So grab your gussets, and if you wear your messenger bag over your left shoulder, you want your adjustable strap to be on the right side. That's pretty important. So what we need to do is find the center point of this. So usually it's 17 inches. So if I go like this, it's just under 17 inches. So right at about 8.5 inches is where I want this center seam to come here. So I'm going to put that right at 8.5 inches. And then with right sides together, I'm going to put a pin right here. So what we need to do is pin the gusset panels all the way around, and these are going to kind of wrap around these corners, and you have to pin it on a corner, and then these are going to wrap all the way around to the top. So that's going to look like that, and then this side is going to wrap around the other side. And you're just going to try to pin it very carefully around the corner, so it's going to end up looking like this. So I'm going to pin this all, and then I'll jump in here before we start sewing. Okay, so now we're ready for sewing. So we are going to start in the top right corner, and a 1/2 inch seam allowance, just sew all the way around both curves back up to this point here. So I'm going to jump and do that. So we have a stitch running all the way around the whole outside of this bag, which is good. So before I turn it, I'm going to just do a couple of clips in the curves so that it lays nice and flat when we turn it right side out. You don't have to trim the seam for this part, but if you at least clip the corners, it will make it lay just a little bit more flat. Good. So now if I just kind of pull this out, we can see what the face of our bag is going to look like. This is very colorful so far, but so far it all looks good, and now we're ready to put on the back flap. Good. The next parts you need are your flap lining and your back and flap panel. So before we can attach this to the bag, we just have to do one stitch. So you're going to take your flap lining, or I'm sorry, you're going to take your flap and put it right side up. And then get your flap lining and find the right side, and you're going to put them right sides together. So since I embroidered my logo right here, I'm going to put these right sides together along the curve, and then I'm going to pin these together. Perfect, so now I'm going to sew this on a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around the curls again, just like before, except please remember to not backstitch on these 2 points here, because sometimes you got to pull threads out later to get this a little loose when we end up sewing the lining together last. So anyway, just one straight stitch all the way around, and we will come back right after that. Now, that is all stitched together, which looks good. So I'm going to clip these curves again, just like we did before. And we are going to trim the seam, but we're not going to do it yet. We'll do that after we join this with the gusset panels. So just clip the corners for now, just so you don't forget. And then we're gonna get ready to attach this just like we did with the accent. Okay, so lay this out so that you see the back. So the top of the flap is up here where this lining is. So this is the center back of your bag. So just like we did before with the accent, we need to find our middle point. So it is gonna be right here. So then grab your other pieces and find the center seam of your gussets, which is right here. And just like we did before with the accent, we're going to pin this all the way up around and around the curves and stuff like that. So I will take a moment to pin this together and then I'll be right back. Okay, so before you pin all the way up here, I want to take a quick second to look at this flap lining. So you don't want to stitch over this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out a few stitches here. I went too far. I'm going to pull out a few stitches here to make the flap lining a little bit looser, just on these edges, so that I can get this gusset to go all the way up. And it's okay if this is loose, that's not a problem. So now that that's nice and flat and the lining is out of the way, I can pin this here. So we're going to do this on both sides because you do not want to sew the lining down yet. Okay, good. So this is all pinned and ready for sewing. So I've got my flap lining is nice and free, so this isn't going to get stitched down, and we can just stitch all the way around here just like before. Okay, that's it. So all of our stitch work is done. Actually, the whole outside of the bag is already finished right now. So I'm just going to show you how to turn it. So the first thing you need to do before you turn it is to trim the flap seam. So I'm going to take my rotary cutter and just trim this down. It doesn't have to be to a certain length, just as long as it's nice and close to the stitches. Now we're ready to turn this right side out. So we've got all our stitching done, and all you have to do is just turn it right side out. And the reason I picked all these fabrics for this tutorial was so that it would be really easy to see all the different parts. So you don't need a seam turner for this, you can just kind of use your fingers to make sure it's all nice and stretched out here. So that looks pretty good so far. And when you pull your flap down, you got to make sure that you turn the flap right side out also. This part you might need a seam turner for. No, you should be able to do it just fine. So before we finish, the last thing I always do before I move on to the next stage is I'm just going to press the flap, because you're going to see it's going to be really poofy if you use batting, and I just want that to be nice and flat. When I iron the flap, I just get it on my board, but you want to kind of tug on the lining so that you can see almost a little bit of the red. So I just want to see a little bit of red because I don't want any of my lining fabric to be visible on the outside of the bag. So I kind of lay my iron down and I will pull on the lining just a slight amount so that it'll come towards me, especially on the corners, because you don't want that to be visible on the outside at all. Okay, excellent. So this is all nice and pressed and flat. So this is what you will see when the bag is finished. So again, we had yellow on the underneath and red on the outside. We got our embroideries. On the inside we have our cool comic fabric with a welt pocket, and I got my little logo right there. So this is looking really good, and that is actually it for completing the outside part of the bag. Okay, awesome. So we got the whole outside of the bag done. This is looking really good so far. You can try it on right now just to see how it fits and get used to adjusting the strap. But we're all done with this for right now. In the next video, we're going to be doing the inside lining, and then we're going to do polishing and buckles and stuff like that at the end. So thanks for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one.